So today we're doing a deep dive that's a little different. It's less about the usual research summaries or current events.
Right, much more foundational.
Exactly. We're tracing the origins of wisdom itself. We're going into a source called The Genesis of Purpose in Pain. And we're really focusing on this one section, episode 10, Who Gives Meaning to Suffering?
It's a fantastic source.
It really is. And our mission today, it's kind of unique. We're trying to get at the first principles of how we learn, that aha moment, but at its very inception.
The origin story of insight.
Yeah. We're asking that meta question for anyone who's a learner. If suffering is what wakes us up, who or what teaches us how to understand it?
And that's the whole dilemma, isn't it? The source material frames it perfectly with its hook line. Does pain have a purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And this is so vital for you, the learner, especially now with all the information overload, the complexity of life. We're not just hunting for knowledge here.
No.
We're looking for wisdom and understanding how insight is generated, not just received. I mean, that's the real knowledge shortcut, right?
It is. It's how you turn raw experience into actual value instead of just, collecting facts.
So to start, we really have to adopt the voice of the source itself. It's this very calm, contemplative, almost Purana style of storytelling.
A narrative reflection.
Exactly. So imagine the beginning, the initial state of creation. It's vast, it's raw, kind of unorganized. And as suffering starts to spread, and that can be physical, emotional, any kind of suffering, it doesn't show up alone.
Confusion follows right behind it.
Instantly.
And it was a time when, beings could endure things. They could survive. They lived through the pain, but they didn't have the tools to process why.
There was no context.
Zero context, just this raw, brutal existence. And the sources are clear this was profoundly disorienting. It wasn't just that it was hard.
Right. And this is the turning point in the narrative. The creator, Brahma, perceives this. He observes that suffering, when you endure it without meaning, just becomes an engine for despair.
An engine for despair. That's a powerful phrase.
It is, because endurance by itself is just passive. It's destructive. If you just absorb pain without any way to interpret it, your spirit it erodes. The realization was that the pain's intensity isn't what defines the suffering.
What is it then?
It's the level of understanding you apply to it. That recognition that the universe needed a curriculum for clarity, that's the moment meaning became necessary.
Okay, but wait. If Brahma saw this immediate danger of despair taking over, why wasn't the solution immediate? Why didn't meaning arrive like a thunderclap, a divine command?
That's the most essential insight of this whole origin story.
Okay.
The sources insist that meaning couldn't be commanded from the outside. Because real understanding, it isn't an instruction. It's a cultivation.
It has to be grown, not given.
It had to be self-generated to be real, to be lasting. So meaning entered creation quietly, not as some loud decree, but as this subtle, gradual, internal shift in perception.
Like a dawn, not a lightning strike.
A perfect way to put it. And the narrative gives us 3 specific channels for how this shift was nurtured.
The first one being experience.
Right. You had to have that direct confrontation with reality. There's no learning what endurance means without, enduring.
Obvious, but necessary.
Then the second channel was reflection. So once you have the experience, the mind has to turn inward and process it. Reflection is the active work. It's the lab where you turn raw data into insight.
The world gives you the facts, reflection gives you the wisdom.
Precisely. And that leads to the third channel, which is the goal of the whole process. Inner realization.
The breakthrough.
The breakthrough, the aha moment. It's when the dots connect on their own. And you can't be told it. It can only arise after experience and reflection have done their work. The implication is huge.
That true understanding is always cultivated, never just dictated.
And even with these channels in place, the source is clear that wisdom didn't come easily. It only emerged under very specific and often very difficult internal conditions.
Right. If the mind was just busy and distracted, meaning had nowhere to land.
I find that part so compelling, how the sources detail the mental architecture required for insight. It's not about being strong. It's about being prepared.
And it names 3 specific states: loss, silence, and contemplation.
And what's critical here is that these aren't seen as negative things to be avoided. They are the very laboratories for understanding. Think about loss.
Okay.
The sources say loss strips away everything that's non-essential. All the attachments, assumptions, the distractions, they keep us from seeing reality clearly.
You have to clear out the old structure before you can build a new one.
You have to. Loss forces the mind to reevaluate everything from the ground up.
And then there's silence. In that original state of confusion, The mind was just, full of noise, fear, anger, looking for outside help.
Hmm.
Silence quiets the external world, but maybe more importantly, it quiets the internal chatter. It's what allows you to even hear that subtle shift towards meaning. It's deep listening.
And finally, contemplation. This is the active ingredient. It takes the space that silence created, and it uses the foundation that loss cleared. Contemplation is the focused mental work.
It's practice.
It's the practice of holding a difficulty up to the light, turning it over, looking for the pattern, the lesson inside it.
It's like just as a seed needs the darkness and the pressure of the soil to grow, insight needed the darkness and pressure of these states.
That's a great analogy.
Without that void created by loss and silence, and without the focus of contemplation, the new understanding just has no room to sprout. The pain just stays pain.
A purely destructive force.
Yeah.
But once this process started to take hold, the narrative describes this profound shift. Beings began to see purpose beyond their immediate pain.
They realized they weren't just passive victims of fate.
And the sources describe this as a major philosophical transformation, not just a small psychological tweak. Meaning softened the suffering, and this is the key phrase. It transformed mere endurance into learning.
Endurance is passive. It's just waiting for the storm to pass.
Right. It's waiting for the alarm to stop.
Yeah.
But learning is active. It's like you're installing a new operating system in your mind. Meaning is the lens that lets you make that switch from being a victim to being a wisdom seeker.
It's a fundamental change in your relationship with difficulty.
Which brings up a very practical question for you, the learner, listening to this today.
Yeah.
You're dealing with all this complex information, your own challenges. If understanding is what turns endurance into wisdom, how much time are you actually intentionally carving out for silence, for contemplation?
Or are you just enduring? Just letting the constant flow of information and emotion wash over you?
Exactly. Are you creating that internal space you need to reflect and generate real insight? The sources seem to suggest that without that space, it's impossible.
So the narrative really gives us this complete, powerful cycle. It starts with raw, confused pain, and it ends with this refined, purposeful wisdom.
And throughout this whole reflection, we get these three specific lessons, these three big aha moments that are distilled for us.
The first one comes right from Brahma's initial observation.
That pain becomes destructive when it lacks meaning. Meaning is basically a philosophical antidote to despair.
Right. It's the framework that stops hardship from just dissolving you. If you can't place a difficulty, find its value, it consumes you.
But if you can name it, contextualize it, learn from it, you don't just survive, you gain mastery.
And the second lesson, that feels like it speaks directly to us, to the learner.
Understanding transforms endurance into wisdom.
Understanding is the active ingredient. Endurance is just clocking out on Friday. Wisdom is realizing the challenge you faced on Wednesday taught you something you needed for Monday.
It totally redefines success. It's not about avoiding pain anymore. It's about mastering lessons.
And the third lesson. This one feels like the most critical one for an independent thinker.
I agree. Clarity often arises through reflection, not instruction. The ultimate, most transformative knowledge, the stuff that really changes how you operate, you can't find it in a textbook.
You can't have it handed to you.
It has to be self-generated. It's the result of you intentionally turning your experiences inward, filtering them through silence, and finding the connections for yourself.
So if we step back and look at the whole journey, the sources lay out this really powerful narrative. It's a complete cycle.
It is.
Suffering leads to despair until this internal, intentional reflection provides meaning. And that meaning transforms the original pain into, well, hard-won wisdom.
It's a complete philosophical framework, really. It suggests that whether you're dealing with a project or an emotional challenge or just information overload, the answer is always internal.
Cultivated through stillness.
Right. Rather than always looking for external commands or solutions, the journey has to be personal.
Yeah, it's the difference between being handed a finished building and being taught the physics of how to build any building you want.
One is temporary. The other is transformative. It gives you lasting power.
And yet, in true philosophical style, the narrative doesn't just tie it all up with a neat bow.
No, it leaves us with another layer of complexity.
Yeah.
There's that continuation line from the original text.
But even meaning could not prevent chaos. Balance itself was missing. So if you connect that to the bigger picture, the journey doesn't just end when you find meaning.
Not at all. Meaning gives you resilience. It gives you a framework for learning, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it doesn't automatically create stability or harmony in the world around you.